Hey guys, Ethan here with Terminal.com, and today I'm going to show you how to tunnel ports between your terminal and your local computer. Very quick process, nice and easy. We'll jump right in. First thing we're going to do is create a new terminal. Now, I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, but you could obviously do this with any terminal that you've currently got running that you want to use this particular function on. Um, I'm just going to spin this up. I'm going to turn off auto pause so that it doesn't stop. And while that's spinning up, I'm going to show you that a lot of the information we're going over here comes from the article that was just published on our blog recently about how to do exactly this. So if you like, feel free to check that out. There's some extra information there, and some code snippets and things that can make the process a lot faster. Otherwise, just follow along with me, and I'll be sure to link to this in the description so it's easy to find as well. So this terminal has spun up, and the first thing that you want to make sure you can do is you want to be able to SSH into this terminal. Now, if you haven't already set up your SSH key pairs, go ahead and do that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out our article on SSH keys and how to set them up. It explains everything. I've set up my SSH keys on this machine, so all I have to do is now copy them into this terminal, and I'm going to do that right now. There is, as I said, an article on SSH key generation, and it's got some code snippets that make this whole process faster, but basically I'm just creating a file called authorized keys, and then I'm going to open up the ID rsa.pub, which should list my public key. Copy and paste that into this new file we just created, and that'll enable us to connect through via SSH. So that's all set. The next step is to begin essentially the tunneling process. Now, tunneling is it's a process used to gain access to a computer that normally isn't accessible on your network. And you do that by binding local port to a port on the host computer. So in this case, we'll be binding a port on the local machine to a port on this terminal. The first thing I want to do on the terminal, though, I'm going to use port 80 and the Apache port just as an example. I want to make sure that Apache is running and is listening at port 80. So I'm going to do that with netstat atn. Alright, so that's the correct output that we're looking for. And again, these snippets are on the article, so if you're confused at all about what's going on here, take a look at that. And the last thing to do is just come over to my local command line and type in SSH. You can use the C option, which that just compresses the info. And then type in your username at, and then you want the terminal URL. So you can see here it's the URL that appears in the navigation bar when you're sitting inside your IDE. So in this case it's Ethan Brooks 44 at Terminal.com. And then you want to do the L option, and what that is, that's the binding option, which will essentially tell the computer we want to bind a port on this computer with a port on a host. The next thing you list is the port that you want to bind from your local computer and the host, which is Ethan Brooks 44, followed by a colon, and finally the port on the host that you want to bind to. So I'll show you here before I hit enter. We've got a great little image in this article which kind of explains it. So right here, the L tells the computer that you're looking to bind a local port to a remote host. Then you first list the local port, followed by a colon, followed by the host name, which in this case is your terminal's unique ID. So that's Ethan Brooks 44. Followed by a second colon and the remote port number. And like I said, because we're listening on port 80 and we're using port 80 for the example, port 80 is the remote port that we're going to bind to. So let that run, and once it's all set, we're going to go ahead and test it. Say yes. All right. So you can see we got we have a welcome message here. Basically means the whole thing went off without a hitch. We are now operating on the command line of our remote terminal. So you can see we're in the root user on that particular terminal, and we can test this by checking our localhost. And we'll go port 8000 because that's the one that we've tied in. And what we should see is the standard Apache confirmation page, which is what we have right here. It works, all set. Now, if you had bound a different port to your remote terminal, you would access it by typing in that port number here. So, hope this was helpful, guys. It's going to be the basis of a couple cool tutorials that we've got coming down the tubes. Stay tuned. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, what you're looking to find out, and tune in next time. Thanks a lot.